This is MIP. Get woke.
Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, as always on these Tuesday mornings, the president of the NAACP, our dear friend and brother, Derrick Johnson. Derrick, good morning. God bless you, man.
Good morning, Mark. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. Derrick, I want to begin and give you an opportunity to share your thoughts and remembrances of our dear friend, your fellow national board member, and again, our friend, my pastor, as a matter of fact, the Reverend Dr. Morris L. Sharon, also for many years the president of the D.C. branch of the NAACP. I want to give you a chance to share your thoughts and remembrances of Reverend Sharon.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, when you think about Reverend Sharon, he's one of the pillars of not only the D.C. community, he was a pillar of the religious, and in many ways, civil rights community. The kind of individual who did not boast or talk loud, but always consistent. When you talk to Lorraine Miller, she talked about how the D.C. branch during her tenure, she could always rely on the support of Reverend Sharon. Around the board table, he was always measured and reasonable and willing to support. And you know, his loss is a loss for many. So, you know, I wish him I wish his family well and thank him for allowing us to share him. As I know, it has been a tremendous loss, not only to his family, but, you know, individuals like you, Mark. I watch how you looked to him and sought his guidance, and I think that's something that we all should do. Wisdom abounds if we just lean into it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, Derrick. So I want to start this way. When last we talked, we heard about the shooting in Baton Rouge. Have you had a chance, or has the branch given you any update on the situation down there?
I've not gotten my arms around it yet. You know, we've had some initial conversations, but I'm still trying to get a strong sense of, you know, where things are going. I can say for the Baton Rouge community, there are a couple of things that's a problem. When any community go to these metro governments, you lose control. And when you lose control, you create spaces where the services that your tax dollars pay for may not represent you. Then secondly, when you have a scenario where an incident is video, like the first incident in Baton Rouge, and you clearly see that the police officers was wrong, and they still are acquitted, it gives license to continue bad behavior. So that's the atmosphere in Baton Rouge. That's the political landscape, and I'm still trying to get my arms around this particular incident.
Yeah, of course. We also are hearing that the NAACP did file a brief last week with regards to the Muslim ban, correct?
That's absolutely. We joined in with several groups, you know, the Muslim ban. You know, racial profiling unchecked creates problems for African Americans. And whether the Muslim ban today, Latino deportation, or just all out driving while black and then getting attacked, all those things are part of the same racial xenophobia platform that people are using to justify bad behavior. Now, most importantly, it also serves as a distraction to deal with this $1.5 trillion budget that the Senate is now considering, which takes us to this Alabama Senate race, because they would use things to distract us as they craft budgetary policy to increase the profit margin for the rich and take away the social safety net and support for hardworking people across the country. And so there's always that balancing between not saying nothing when decisions are being made, like the Muslim ban, but also not being so distracted you lose sight of what's the game that's really playing. And the game that's really being played is about money. Who's being taxed, who's not taxed,
Right.
and what those tax dollars are spent on.
Right. And when you put it that way, it's wholesale warfare, really, on all of our communities. You discriminate against Muslim people, and then you're also going to raise taxes against the rest of
working
us,
class people.
the working class people.
It's the red meat that working class whites go for. You put out here red meat about the otherness, attack the otherness, so they can be riled up because the tax part has been written to undermine their social mobility and their quality of life.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because African Americans, we can see it because we've experienced it and we have been the brunt of many of these attacks for decades. But unfortunately, too many working class whites can't see it, how they're being manipulated and used and brainwashed against their interests around the control of tax policy and the undermining of their economic social mobility. And so as African Americans and other communities of colors, we have to be clear where the fight is as we take on the fight when it's a clear and present danger to us.
Yeah. Derrick Johnson with us, president of NAACP, quarter before the hour. You mentioned it also being a distraction, Derrick. If just to add to that, the cog in these wheels, you have the Muslim ban, which is racist and discriminatory and a distraction from tax policy. And then you also have the very same group of people who are promoting the Muslim ban, promoting this devastating tax policy economically, those very same people enabling some of the sexual predatory behavior that is so commonly reported. And I've just, I had a thought this morning. This same group of people, as good and positive as all the revelations coming out and women speaking up, this group that's for the Muslim ban, this group that is for this devastating tax policy, would use the proliferation of these women's stories to normalize their candidates for doing the same thing. Well, everybody does it, so it's okay if the president is accused of it and possibly did it. Well, everybody does it, so it's okay, Alabama, if Roy Moore is accused of it and possibly did it. So to me, that's just another example of a distraction.
Yeah, it's not a distraction, right? When you look at who's actually at risk, you're talking about 99.99% of everybody. You're talking about white women. White women are still paid significantly less to do the exact same job as white men.
Yeah.
And yet they don't want to be put in the box of the otherness, and so they will continue to support bad candidates who you take away the sexual harassment. It is bad, but the sexual assault in public policy against women is worse. You talk about working class white men. You take away the current goal to shift this tax policy to only benefit a certain segment, but the economic attack that has happened with the inability of many working class people, particularly white males, to be socially mobile at all. The amount of money being paid of the average worker compared to the top corporate CEOs is astronomical. It is unlike any country in the world currently. You take away all of the bad things that these set of individuals are doing, and only look at attacks through public policy, we should all be up in arms. And so, but they're crafty to create an us versus them,
Yeah.
the otherness. Therefore, it's because these other people, these things are happening to you, and it's not the public policy. Well, we have to be mature enough in this discussion to say it is about the public policy. The priorities is based in the budget, and the budget determines the morality of this country. And right now, we are operating with a set of individuals who are as immoral as any dictator you can find on this earth.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you're right, man. Derrick's right, folks. This is really a double hit. I mean, especially for women. So you hear about all these stories of sexual assault. Many of you women who I know experience this every day. But then the very person who would defend Roy Moore and Donald Trump, who also has gotten away with his own sexual assault by admission, he said it on the tape, is going to cut into your wallet. And the most recent studies, when we talk about, you mentioned 99.99%, Derrick, what some of the recent studies show that more and more women are head of households anyway.
That's right.
So this is really going to hit women hard.
But since 1970, the requirement of families to have two incomes to survive, black or white, has more than quadrupled. This is about tax policy. This is about a redistribution of wealth in the wrong direction. And we allow too many things to distract us because it's the shiny thing. It's the stuff that's based on emotionalism. But we have to have more critical thinkers in this game so we don't allow other people to use emotionalism to go against their interests in a way in which undermine our security and our protection.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Derrick Johnson, folks, president of NAACP. Also, folks, in other news, the NAACP is gearing up for the 49th NAACP Image Awards. You know, we always talk about what Hollywood is and is not doing. Oscars so white. But we must appreciate and acknowledge the awards and recognitions and affirmations that we get from our own institutions, especially the NAACP. So this normally during Black History Month, but this year, folks, Derrick, the NAACP Image Awards are going to be on Dr. King's birthday, right?
We're moving to Dr. King's birthday, that Monday, January 15th, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the sanitation workers' strike.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, there are still two individuals who were sanitation workers during that strike in 1968 who are still working today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the reason why they're working is because the pay for those sanitation workers was so low, they needed to keep a job at 85 and 84 years old. But we're going to hold the Image Awards on that day to commemorate, understand that civil rights and worker rights are the same thing. In fact, if people were never exploited for cheap and free labor, there would have never been a need for a civil rights movement.
That's right. That's right.
And as a result of the need for a civil rights movement and the development of that movement, we should always commemorate the right of workers to collectively bargain, to leverage and negotiate for a fair wage.
That's
we cannot separate movements that were created and coexist but cost one another. And then secondly, we're going to honor Bill Lucy doing this magnificent event, the Image Awards, because Bill Lucy was the organizer working for AFSCME in 1968 that brought Martin Luther King to Memphis, and he has been active ever since. So I hope you all would come join us in Pasadena, California. If you can't join us, tune in to TV One for the live telecast of the Image Awards.
Folks, and let me just say this is another good reason to be a member of the NAACP. If you're a member of the NAACP, you can actually vote on the Image Award nominees, right, Derrick?
Absolutely. So, and understand, the image war was created because of the negative images of African Americans in entertainment. You go back to Birth of a Nation in 1914, to the Amy to Andy, and all of the blackface shows. We commend the Hollywood NAACP for recognizing that we need to do something different to change the images of African Americans and other people of color in entertainment. And we are pleased to say we've had a record number of submissions this year because there's so much on television, in the movies, that reflect a much more positive image of African Americans.
That's right.
When I say record number, we projected about 30% fewer submissions than were received. It was just that many pieces of entertainment, television, and what's amazing, Mark, people behind the camera, showrunners, which is the top of the line, cameraman. All of this has completely been changed over the last several years, and this is an opportunity for us to appreciate and honor, but continue to push to make sure that we have positive images of African Americans on television, in the movies, and in any space where entertainment exists.
Derrick Johnson with us, folks, president of the NAACP. And just back to what he was saying about Dr. King and the civil rights struggle. Dr. King did not give his life in a city where at that moment there was a battle for desegregation and lunch counter. A lot of people want to just confine him to that. He had spoken out against the war in Vietnam, but he went to help garbage men. Most of us don't even speak to our sanitation worker. If we see, most of them come early morning, we don't see them, or we're on the way to work and we don't speak to them, irrelevant. Dr. King went to Memphis for those sanitation workers. And it also showed, just to bring us full circle, we talked about Reverend Sharon's humility. Dr. King had such humility also in terms of making those whom we take for granted a priority in the days leading up to his death. That's precisely what he did. Folks, join the NAACP and become involved in the civil rights struggle, but also vote on the Image Awards. Our very special guest has been Derrick Johnson, the president. Derrick, I'll get back at you a little bit later this morning as we finalize the details for Reverend Sharon's service. I appreciate your thoughts and prayers, my brother. Give my love. Reverend Sharon loved the NAACP, and he loved you and everyone in the NAACP. So please extend my love and condolences to the NAACP as well.
Thank you, and listen, you continue to do the good work. You're carrying a legacy, within 2 months, 2 people that you looked up to, that was your mentors, from Dick Gregory to Reverend Sharon, has now gone to become angels to look over you, to continue the work that you do, because they're watching you. And if you got out of line, what Dick Gregory will say to you.
You're right.
As Reverend Sharon to pray for you.
That's right.
Brother, take care. Right. Stay strong.
Thank you for those words, Derrick. Love you, brother. Take care now. Folks, we'll be back. This is MIP.